If you've ever stood in a sporting goods aisle completely overwhelmed or ordered something or a lot of some things off an infomercial and now it's collecting dust under your bed or the guest room's bed, this episode is for you. Today we are cutting through all the noise and getting down to exactly what you actually need to set up an effective home gym when you're new to fitness or getting back after a long break. No gimmicks, no wasted money, no shake weights. Well, maybe a shake weight because we have fun here. Just the real essentials that I use with my clients online to get real results. Pain-free, from home. Let's get into it. But first, welcome to Fit After 40, the Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. Kinsey here, certified personal trainer and menopause coaching specialist. I've worked with hundreds of clients over the past 12 years and know firsthand how intimidating starting a fitness routine can be, especially in perimenopause. My goal is to teach women in midlife and beyond how to feel strong and confident in their bodies and to help them live the healthy life they deserve, free of pain, heart disease, dementia, frailty, you name it. In this show, you'll get action steps you can take today, backed by the most up-to-date research and thousands of hours of practical in-gym experience. The best time to get started may have been 20 years ago, but the second best time to get started is today. Hello, and welcome to Fit After 40 Women's Fitness and Health Revolution podcast. Coach Kinsey here, and we are back with a solo cast after two very, if I do say so myself, rather exciting guest episodes. I don't know about y'all, but maybe it's just because I'm tired of hearing my voice, but man, it's fun to hear other people get so passionate and so excited about women's health. I really believe that is where the women's fitness and health revolution gets started, right? It is passion from other people who care about women, all of us coming together, raising our voices up. What is it? The rising tide lifts all ships. That's what is going on. So thank you again to our guests. Looking forward to having more people on in the future. And if you have any experts or fields that you would like me to find experts in, I've got a couple ideas kicking around, but I would love to hear from you. As always, you can hit me up at kinsey.does.the.fitness on Instagram, and you can find me via email at kinsey@fitafter40, that's 40.info. So today, little life update. I am recording this podcast for the future. As I'm recording, there is a hella snowstorm going outside my window. I'm going to try to keep this one kind of short because I'm filming in the evening and I've got a 5 p.m. online Fit After 40 cohort that I am going to run to, which kind of ties into today's theme, which we'll talk about. I am recording this in the future, or in the past for the future, because Mark and I are traveling to Kenya together on the 25th. So by the time this drops, the day this drops, we will be en route. So send us all your positive travel vibes, please, and thank you. So without further ado, again, I put myself in a little time crunch. Whoops, turns out when you're leaving the country, suddenly there's a million things to do that I probably could have thought about, like leading up. Anyone else with me where you're like, yeah, I've got time. And then you're like, holy cow, I've got 8 seconds. So today has been a big day of just getting all of the vaccines, of getting duckies, cramming them in a row, getting ready to GTFO to Kenya. So let's go ahead. Oh, I also have to say I'm keeping my phone sound on. So if you hear little bloop bloops, sorry, I never do this, but because of the snowstorm, both my husband, Margarita Definition, Make the Boys Go Loco, and my sister are commuting. So I just want to have it on in case anybody needs help, because it is just with driving, that sounds so dark, but it's really slippery. When I was parking my car over on like the emergency snowplow, not on the route, I had to move my car, and just driving a block, there were two big like wipeouts. So just keeping it on. Got to be a good little wifey and sisty. So if you do hear the bleep bloops, I apologize in advance. But again, just know it's because we're keeping my loved ones safe. So let's dive into today's episode. I realize, is maybe not like the sexiest topic, but also maybe it's kind of sexy, right? Because I do get this question a lot. And that is, I'm working out at home. I don't want to spend a butt ton of stuff like money on equipment. What do I need? I already have some stuff that I've collected over the years. I'm getting started, I'm newly back, or getting started after a while, or I've never done this before, like, be real with me. What do I need? Right? So this episode is for anyone who's thinking about getting started with working out or getting started again, but isn't sure what equipment they need to get without wasting money. Which, fun fact, like I mentioned, Fit After 40 Strength Training for Menopause does have online cohorts. Did you know that? Yeah. So yes, we're in person in the Twin Cities, but we also have a few spots online. Each cohort, just like the in-person, is 5 women or less, so it is tailored to your unique body and where you are at in your fitness journey. Everyone does their own workout, and I coach, and you get to work out together doing your own thing. So we have folks all the way from California to Virginia and lots of little spots in between. And the reason I'm mentioning this is, besides you getting excited to get consistent at home, one of the best ways to actually nail consistency with at-home training, because let's be real, I definitely fell prey to this, is that it's really easy to maybe even get started, but it's hard to stick with. It's also hard to know what to do. Random YouTube videos, while they move your body, they're not designed to get results, right? We talk about this all the time. We need a systematic, progressive program. And the other piece is, how do you know that you're moving correctly, and how do you keep yourself from moving pain-free? And even better, how do you minimize pain in day-to-day life by adding supportive movement? These are things that we do in Fit After 40. And the fun thing is that every time I work with women from their own home, I have them send me pictures of equipment they have. And that's kind of where this has popped up. A, because people ask me what they need for their first session. And B, because I get to see all of the equipment people have accumulated over a lifetime. So I have seen a lot of equipment that, for the most part, myself included, is just sort of like not really ever gets used. We get it and then it disappears into some closet or on a Nording track or in our garage. But generally, almost every woman that I've worked with has somehow accumulated bands, which, good news, those are really helpful, especially in the first month or two. But like I said, just a lot of just like straight up gimmicky things. So things from like ab wheels to mini vibration plates to thigh masters to those little step machines, you know, the guys where you literally just step on them and it's just like 2 foot plates, to, you're going to love this one, raise your hand if you have a shake weight. Honestly, we just had it for the comedy. It was before I even did fitness, but we have them, right? And I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? We just start to accumulate these things that maybe we used for a while, but we didn't really stick to, and now they just take up space in a box. And maybe you've even accumulated some obscure but effective, when programmed correctly, items like maces or trampolines or those tidal tanks, the big like tubes full of water that make it hard to lift and sort of play with proprioception. Chances are, if you're like most women I work with, myself included again, you've collected a lot of odd workout equipment along the way and used them maybe never. I've got a lot. I've got things like grip strength, squeezy things that I've never touched. Again, as always, there is no shade. I have my fair share of random stuff. Some of them I literally don't even know how to use, and I do this for a living, right? I just found a box the other day, and I opened it up, and there's this figure 8 thing. And I was like, I don't know, maybe a Pilates thing. How you get here? So today we are going to talk about how to save you some money, save you some time, and save you some confusion, and get down to the bare bones of what you actually need to train effectively when you set up a home gym when you are new to fitness or newly back. Full disclosure, this is much easier to build out early on in your fitness journey, because the big focus of your first few months of training is going to be focusing on balance and stabilization, correcting movement imbalances, learning proper form, and building muscular endurance. And a lot of this can be done with lower weights and even body weight. But eventually, and we do talk about this all the time, so if you have been around this pod before, thanks for coming back. I'm saying it for the people in the back. Eventually, as you get more proficient at lifting, you're going to have to either invest in more equipment, get a gym membership, or get creative to continue progressive overloading. I did do a whole episode in the past about how to progressive overload at home and get stronger without a gym. I definitely recommend checking that out. I'll put it in the show notes, especially if that's the phase you're currently in. You've been doing this for like 6+ months. Maybe you feel really plateaued. You're like, I don't feel like I'm getting stronger. I don't see any extra definition, whatever the case may be. Plateaus are super real. So you got to start training smarter and not harder once you've been at this for a while. So let's talk the equipment we need realistically for the first like 3 to 6 months of lifting at home. There are going to be 5 plus 2 bonus. 5 plus 2 bonus. I'm not going to say 7. I refuse. 5 plus 2 bonus things that we talk about today. 2 pieces of equipment are going to be the ones that I'm going to argue that you got to have. And then the rest are sort of like bonus pieces that will help, especially the longer you keep working out. And I think just are really great tools at any level. So the first non-negotiable is you got to have dumbbells. Yep, you got to. They do make these really cool adjustable weight sets, which I think are like the gold standard. So in the bottom of in the show notes, I'm going to include my Amazon equipment page. It's just things that I recommend and send to my clients. I get like maybe 0.001 penny. So if you do want to buy it from that page, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If not, do your thing, sister. These are just up to you. It's one place that you can go and kind of see what I'm talking about. It gives a visual to the things we'll touch on. So the first one is this adjustable weight set. And I prefer the one that I have on my Amazon page because they load like mini barbells. If you know what a barbell is, it's when you think of like CrossFit or powerlifting, those long bars, and then they have the plates that go on the side. So I like this because it comes with a little bar and plates that you can stack on and then collars to hold the plates in place. Versus there are other stackable mechanisms. So like what I mean by adjustable dumbbells is instead of just having like an 8-pound dumbbell and a 10-pound dumbbell, you get a bar and then you can adjust it to 5 pounds, to 10 pounds, to 15, to 20, to 50, right? So it becomes very versatile. I like the one that I put on my Amazon account for a couple for the main reason is for safety. One of the more common ones, and one that I had in the past, was you kind of slide this clip and it adjusts how much weight is on there, but the plates can kind of fall off over time. And I know that I'm doing an awful job of describing it, but just trust me, both are mostly fine. Read reviews, right? But I do have one horror story of that clippy set, the one that's not on my Amazon page. It fell apart while a client was using it back when I trained in person in LA, and it was not great. It didn't hurt them, luckily, but I'll tell you what, we had just done skull crushers where you're literally bringing the dumbbell down to your forehead, and thank goodness it didn't happen on that one. I think it was on like a bicep curl. I think we were doing an arm superset. But the point is, the plates fell off and I was like, oh my gato, thank you for not falling on a head. The point is, that's why I like the adjustable ones that load with the plates, because you can secure them in, you can throw them around. It's super duper safe. Huzzah. As always, read reviews. Let's see. So the reason I like adjustable, while it is an investment upfront because it does run a little hotter, but remember, we're in theory building out a gym that's going to suit us for a long time, hopefully, especially if we're not near a gym or we don't want to invest in a gym membership. This is just a one-time payout versus a monthly, right? It's less equipment to store. So that's one thing, especially if you're like in an apartment or you have a workout room. One of my clients in Fit After 40 right now, she works out of an office, right? So she doesn't have a ton of space. This really it takes up minimal space because it's just one set versus 3 to 10 set pairs of dumbbells. So it takes up less space and is really easy to store. You can just slide it under the bed in the guest room. It also makes adding weight when we're talking about progressive overload, which we must be doing in order to build and maintain muscle and continue to see and gain results. It's really easy to add weight, and it eventually ends up saving you money because you don't have to keep buying extra dumbbells, because that adds up. I recently bought a client what I thought was a set of 15-pound weights, and it was $22. And I was like, that's not too bad. And then I realized it was only one dumbbell. So on sale, it was $44 for 2 dumbbells. And that's for 15 pounds. As you go up in weight, it gets more and more expensive. So if you were to add up the amount of money you'd be spending on all of those individual dumbbell sets, you're saving a ton of money in the long run. And trust me, you do actually go up in weight faster than you think. I promise. Last piece that I really like about the adjustable is that it opens up flexibility to add exercises that play with the plates as equipment. So one thing that you can do is you can use the plates and pop them under your heels and do heel elevated squats, which can help you get more depth or more quad dominance. But I mean, especially for most of us, it helps us get more depth because it gives us ankle mobility. You can also use it for things like rotator cuff endurance exercises, or even when you're getting started early on, you can use them for lateral flies. or if you want to do like a fun day of a bar exercise, you have 2.5s, whatever. So you've got versatility. That being said, like I said, the big con is that there is an investment up front. And it makes a lot of sense that if you're already on the fence about getting started, that buy-in feels too large, just skip it, right? There's a lot of other options. So the slightly scaled down, still more in the like medium price range, is going to be a dumbbell rack, which I have on my Amazon page. And I'm not talking the one you see to the gym because that is a scale up. But if you get one, dope. Please send me your picture on Instagram. I would love to see your gym setup. And that goes for whatever your gym setup. If you want to share your gym with me, show me, sister. But the one I have on Amazon has weights that go up to 15 pounds. Again, a little bit more on the pricier side, but just like the stackable weights, because they come with that rack, it's really great for storage, and it does save you money when it comes to buying things individually. And this is going to be the way that I suggest a lot of my clients go, because I've found most of the people I start with are working up towards 15-pound weights by like month 3 for a lot of us. We're already up to the 15-pound weight. So that's just something that, like I said, you can spend it at once and then you have yourself taken care of. Then, of course, at the very least, if all of that is just not happening, I would at least start with a set of 5s and 10s. I like 8s early on too, because it helps you scale up. But if you can only do 2 sets of dumbbells, think 5 pounds and 10 pounds. Again, this is my recommendation for clients who are brand new to fitness or newly back after a while. If you've been lifting for a while, you're going to have to, you know your body, right? I can't speak to what your form looks like, but 5s and 10s are where we start. The 5s are great for when we do higher rep things, starting to build endurance in, let's say, the arms, as we start working into mobility of an overhead press. And as you become a more proficient lifter, they're great to use as rehab tools for things like rotator cuff endurance exercises. 10 pounds take the place for things like chest presses, rows, doubling up on goblet squats, glute bridges, as you start to nail your form with light weight or body weight. 10s can also be used down the road for a little while for high rep ranges to build strength and hypertrophy, or you can use them for things like unilateral work. So we're thinking like lunge variations, step ups, and higher rep work on the upper body as well. Eventually, if you are easily doing 15 to 20 reps of a movement every time with good form without hitting that close proximity to failure, it's time to get a heavier weight. But that's an exciting thing. Woo-hoo-hoo. And again, if you're progressing like every month, let's say maybe you start by using 10s and then increasing your reps as it gets harder, then that's only like buying one set of weights a month. And eventually you'll cap out and we can kind of play. Like I said, check out how to or progressive overload at home without a gym to give you some ideas of how to make those dumbbells last a little longer. Remember, when it comes to what we're looking for with results, we do need to continue challenging the muscle. But with the right programming, like I said, you can do quite a few different things with these 2 weights starting out. So for example, one client I have right now on the online program is able to do her 20 deadlifts with her 10-pound weights. So we progressed her to a single leg deadlift, and we started working her with Bulgarians just for a while before she's able to invest in her next level of weight. So there's definitely ways, especially as you become a more proficient mover, to really find options. This next tool, so that's my first. This next tool that's a non-negotiable in my book for at least the first 2 months, although they have made their way back into my own programming recently, are bands. Everyone who has signed up for Fit After 40, or everyone who does sign up for Fit After 40 online, gets their own box of bands. Huzzah! Like I said at the top, this seems to be the one piece of equipment that everyone has accumulated in at least some version. Like there's a lot of different varieties, and I feel like everyone has like a loop band and then a long band and then maybe a PT band, right? But there are 2 types that I really prefer early on. The main priority at first to me would be long bands with handles. Bonus if they come in a pack with a door anchor, something that you can like shove in the door and then shut it. These are wonderful for building endurance in the upper body, things like seated rows, bicep curls, overhead press, band pull-aparts, even chest presses when set up correctly. I also love them for training the back because they allow you to really target the major muscle groups without having to access a hinge pattern early on, which is a pretty complicated move just to do right out the gate. A door anchor, which, like I said, is pretty much like what it sounds like, an anchor that shuts into your door frame. also opens up a lot of different possibilities. Things like lat pull downs, rear delt flies, glute kickback, straight arm pull down, tricep kick down or kickback, chest flies, presses from standing, and so much more. So like I said, super duper versatile, really helpful early on, thinking more of that endurance. I love to throw a tempo on these, like 4-2-1. So 2-second hold, releasing for 4. Like I said, if you're confused and you're like, I don't know how to use this equipment, come check out Fit After 40, sister. Next up, second list of priority with bands, if you can get both, would be the mini loop band. Those are just the little circle bands. These are surprisingly versatile and can be great for tools or great tools for training things like underactive muscles of the legs, clamshells, etc., as well as tossing in some fun challenges for the arms. I like to use them as warm-up primers, so lateral walks, monster walks, clamshells down the line. Early on, I like to use bodyweight clamshells, and also adding in adductor activation in things like wall sits and glute bridges. I also love them as a tool to help train knee tracking during squats, especially if you aren't investing in a trainer, which, as you know, I believe everyone should, but that's not the time right now, Kinsey. What I love about these mini bands is most people, especially women, because of our QL angle, have a tendency to collapse knees towards each other as they stand out of their squat. So it's called knee vargus. They kind of drop and then they sweep back out. So instead of staying stacked between hip and ankle, they dip in towards one another. A knee knock, I guess, is the more like colloquial term. This puts a lot of pressure on the knee, takes activation away from the glute, and it can lead to injury down the line. Wearing a band, that mini band just above the knee, gives us a very tangible sensation of pressing out against the band. So it gives our brain something to anchor against, to train ourselves to open against the band as we stand. This brings me to the 2 bonus. Remember how I said we had 5.2? Just accept this. I'm going to use quotes here, but our bonus pieces of, quote, equipment. Walls and chairs without wheels. What? Did she say walls and chairs without wheels? Yes, I did. I did say those. Walls and chairs without wheels. You're welcome. I love, if you've worked with me at all, you know I love making you do a wall sit. I hate them, but I know they're good for me. They're like eating my vegetables, but that's what they're like. Wall sits early on are they're actually the very first move that everyone gets in their programming at Fit After 40. It is the perfect way, in my book, to start developing mind-body connection with quads before you have a squat pattern down. Trust me, do a wall sit, and after 15 seconds, you're already feeling your quads if you're doing it right. It also helps challenging quadricep muscular endurance. Plus, it is a really great precursor to a squat. Again, much less chance of injury. You're very supported. Walls are also great for movements like wall presses, which can be precursors to push-ups, warm-ups like wall slides, T-rotations, lat stretches, calf stretches, and more. They're also great to have for stabilization, right? Because a lot of what we're working on phase 1 is trying to really iron out our balancing. So having a wall there for support, huzzah. Chairs, unsung heroes, are a wonderful way to sit instead of work. I'm just kidding. Chairs are a wonderful way to train a squat pattern along with the mini band at the knees, practicing sit to stands. They can also be used for one-arm row support as you start to transition into more supported hinge rows. Later in training. Later in your training, they can also be super helpful with adding intensity through things like elevated glute bridges, hip thrusts, Bulgarian split squats, single leg chair squats, elevated push-ups, and so much more. Chairs, what can't they do? Talk. I've tried. So now we've talked about my 2 must-haves and my 2 bonus must-haves. So dumbbells, bands, specifically long bands with handles, ideally a mini band as well, a wall that you can put weight against, and a chair without wheels. So now we're into the category of not necessary, but super helpful. And if you can afford it and you're going to use it, worth it. So the first one is a Swiss ball or a yoga ball. I would not have put this one so high originally, but in the past few years, I have loved to work them into my one-on-one training. And then my love of them was reaffirmed after listening to an episode of Mind Pump where they were like, this is where every beginner should start. And I agree. They're absolutely bomb.com, as the kids used to say, for training, stabilization of the trunk, and more, especially in your first 3 months. These can be used for anything from seated shoulder press, where you put your butt on the ball and you have to stabilize the hips and core. This could be, and it helps to protect the spine. I also love adding things like glute bridge chest presses. So your back is on the ball, your hips are in the air, and you're getting a ton of stability and backline work. And as you progress in your training, you don't gotta, basically you can put them anywhere that you would use a bench, right? It's kind of a fun thing. Maybe not anywhere, but they can supplement a lot. As you progress your training, they can also be worked into things like stabilization supersets. They can level up an endurance core workout. They can help train handstands and more. So that's my first. Second, love this one. Would be a total game changer, but you don't need it. It would help you a lot though, and I 10 out of 10 recommend getting it if funding allows, is a TRX, baby, aka suspension trainers. There are a lot of cheap ones online, but I am a TRX girly, and that's what you'll see on my Amazon store. Through and through. I know their product, it's trustworthy, and considering that it literally holds the entire body weight of your beautiful body, I want you to use something that I know is safe. I even have a level 1 coaching cert with TRX because I love them so much. TRX. Oh man, it is incredibly versatile. My dream one day is to send hot pink versions of these to all of my online clients. Stay tuned. And if you're like, I want to fund that for you, Kinsey, really, please. Or if you make these and you want to team up, hit me up, Kinsey@fitafter40.info. Point is, my goal one day is to get these to all of my clients because they are hugely featured in our in-person Fit After 40. At first, they take the place of bands with handles for impeccable ways to train the back line and core. They also are incredibly great for rotational core work and arm work early on. They're wonderful for mobility. They're incredible ways to help build stability in the lower body, moves like squats, lunges, and eventually single leg deadlifts and pistol squats. And they have a lot of fun potential for building your core. They are incredibly versatile. You can travel with them. These also have the door anchors. They can also attach to like trees or park what are those things called? Monkey bars. You can just bring them anywhere. And they fold up really small. If this were the only piece of workout equipment you owned, especially early on, you would get a bunch of really solid total body workouts for quite a while. Progressive overload is also really possible in the first 6 to 12 months because you add your own body weight by stepping closer to the anchor point or adjusting your proximity, depending on what we're talking about. I love TRX. I love it. I own my own. We actually use mine in person because the gym that I train out of right now doesn't have them. So I bring it for my clients because it's that beneficial. It took me a while to find that word. Didn't hit as hard as I wanted to. Just know that I love TRX. And the final piece that I'm going to throw into the helpful but not necessary category, and I would probably say get a Swiss ball before this, but maybe not actually, is a bench. And here's why. Early on, and this is how they are superior to Swiss balls in this one regard, is that I love it for a step up if height allows. There are some benches that allow for changing the height, which is great early on. So you can start at a lower height, which is 6 to 8 inches, and then take it up to the 12 or 14, whatever the top is. So you can progressive overload your step ups. I love step ups pretty much at any point of a program, but especially early on. It's a great way to train unilateral strength. It's a great way to even out imbalances from left to right side. It builds mobility at the hip and ankle. It really helps to fire up the glute. They're also pretty darn versatile, right? We can step up. We can do slow step down. We can do lateral step ups. They're step ups with weight. There's lots of options. Down the road, benches come into play with heavier lifts big time. So they kind of swap out the Swiss ball eventually, right? So once you're 3, 4, 5, whatever months in, we go from a Swiss ball, unless it's a stabilization superset, to this bench. So Bonus points, especially if you can get a bench that goes into an incline. This helps with things like incline chest presses and chest flies, bench supported rows, spider curls, preacher curls, and more. Whoo, doggy. Okay, my friends, I think that's it. I hope that I'm keeping this one a little bit short and digestible, but that was Coach Kinsey. That's me, my essential workout equipment guide for training at home. We talked about your must-haves and the ones that I use with all of my online cohorts, which are dumbbells and bands with handles, plus the bonus of a supportive wall and a chair without wheels, and then my dream list for all clients and humans wanting to move their body with love, Swiss ball, TRX suspension strap, and a bench. I think we all know, but it bears repeating, just because we have equipment doesn't mean we're going to suddenly start working out consistently or at all. Like I said, I have a lot of clients who have plenty of equipment at their disposal that just sat in a box under the bed in the guest room or wherever, right? It wasn't until they started working out with a coach, me, hello, that they actually had the accountability to get consistent, nor did they have the expertise with programming, me again, hello, in a way that keeps them safe and actually gets them results, especially catering to their equipment, especially as they start to move out of being able to really see change within like the 10 to 12 rep range with common things like squats, right? They needed to adjust to progressive overload. I currently have 3 spots left in my online cohort, and they have your name on it if you're one of the first 3 people to reach out. Like I said, at the drop of this, I'm going to be in Kenya when it airs or on the flight, but I want you to not waste this momentum because the majority of the women that I'm working with online right now, and actually, yeah, I would say the majority, I would say like 3/4 of them are women who have never worked out before. So this is totally doable. One of them is someone who's worked out for a very long time. One of them is someone who worked out a lot for a while and just hasn't for a little while. So a big range, but this is your wake-up call that it is for you. It is possible. We can help you move safely and effectively. We can get you results. So I want you to go to the show notes. I want you to book that free discovery call. I'm going to be in touch via email within the next 24 to 48 hours because, again, Kenya, you and I will set a date for when I'm back. We'll get it on the books early March, and we will get you set up to be successful with your health and fitness goals in a way that you never thought was possible. And like I said, that is just for that first free discovery call, so you can even just get an idea of how I work. We can talk about what you're looking for, if we're a good fit, and if for some reason we're not, I will give you tools to find what will work for you, all from the comfort of your home. You and your body, you're so stinking worth it. All right, squad. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. As always, if you got value out of this or know someone who is also thinking about setting up their own home gym, please share this. The more, the merrier. I don't know what algorithms are anymore. So really, this podcast, I know the one way it gets into new ears is by you sharing it. If you got something out of it, tag me. Find me on Instagram. Tag a picture of your home gym. Tag at kinsey.does.the.fitness. I will retag your amazing home gym. I love to see what people have. If you're like, I don't really want people to see my home gym, that's fine too. Just send me a picture. Shoot me a DM. I will cheer you on. All right, squad. Also, if you feel like leaving a review, it means the world. It lets me know that I'm telling you things that actually are helpful. And as always, if you have suggestions for other episodes, questions, comments, concerns in the gym or at home with fitness, whatever, kinsey.does.the.fitness on Instagram or kinsey@fitafter40.info. That's 4040. All right, you beautiful humans. Until next time. Aroo.